Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody today? Welcome to Leslie's Lessons Learned. We're happy you're here. Mike and Alicia and myself, we're here. We have technical difficulties, but we're here. And we want to say thank you and thank you so much for joining LKM Kingdom Living Leslie's Lessons Learned. And before we get started, I just want to ask you to hit the like button. I want you to hit the subscribe button, and I'm asking you to share. And as you do that, I just want to say good morning. Listen. It says I can't post.
You're good. We're seeing
Okay.
everything. Yeah, we're seeing all the comments and stuff.
Okay. Yes. To those of you that looked in the mirror and said, "Is life worth living?" I just want to encourage you to this morning and tell you that life is worth living, and that today you woke up, you have another opportunity to live. So many times we want to exist and not live. I want to encourage you to come out beside from behind yourself and begin to live life. I want to encourage you to know that you are unique and that you are special and that you were created for such a time as this. And if you have not done your assignment is still waiting for you. So as we get started this morning, um, I just want to say that we love you. We love you and we want to see you do be the best person that you can, version of you that you can be. And Alicia and Mike are going to talk today. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to try to be quiet.
You better tell us
and,
what we talking about.
and they're going to continue with their story. Um, wow. We left off a minute ago with your story, but just from where you left off, you was talking about the transition, and I want to continue to talk about that transition and how forgiveness also fit into that. Fit into that. We know it's a work in progress. We're always forgiving. We're always working on ourselves. We're always trying to be the better version of ourselves. But I think you guys have such a unique story. And first of all, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for supporting me
That's it.
and taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. I know Mike probably got some stuff lined up and Alicia has some stuff lined up, but you took time to talk to the people here on Leslie's Lessons Learned. And I just want you to know I really appreciate it. So, why don't you introduce yourself? Everybody knows you, but introduce yourself and talk about 1212 for a minute.
Oh,
And then, message, message,
Mrs. and
message,
miracles.
and yes,
That one. The three M's. The three M's.
yes.
Yes. So, you want to go first? Or?
No, go.
Okay. I am Alicia Johnson, the creator of the 1212 community, and it is a lovely little community that is really growing and changing lives like one journal at a time. We are committed to helping everyone who chooses to learn how to change their lives 12 hours for God and 12 hours for man. And one of the main components that we use to do this is the power of forgiveness. And so the community is built on forgiveness because that is what has really transformed the life that we have. If it wasn't for forgiveness, none of this would be here. At least in this version right now. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell. So,
Right.
Wait. No.
uh,
You have to tell them about this week and how they can come on to see what.
Oh, thank you. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I haven't had my coffee. I'm
That's
like
all
this. I'm
right.
not an early morning person. So thank you, Leslie. Thank you.
So
So
wait a minute. I want you all to know she always says she's not an early morning person, but she has us up at 5 a.m. in the morning for somebody that's not early
that's
morning, okay?
that's God. That's how you know it's God. That's not me. That's God. So, for those of you who are interested in taking a test drive with us, you can feel free to join us. Starting tomorrow, we're doing. Last week we did a test drive week, and this week we're wrapping up the Yes Journal Challenge. And so you can feel free I'll put a link in the comments once we're done, and Leslie can put a link there as to how to join us. It's a free test drive, but just come on and give us a try. I promise you will not be disappointed. We have a good at 5 a.m. in the morning. We have a surprisingly good time at 5 a.m. So it's actually like a pretty good adrenaline rush. It gets you going. It's better than coffee. So give us a try if you're curious about the work that we do at 5 a.m. and we would love to have you. So
Yeah,
thank you, Leslie, for reminding me.
you're
Yeah, thank
welcome.
you, Leslie.
Let me put the link in there.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm Mike Johnson, or Mike Cullen Johnson. A lot of people know me as Mike Cullen, in the social media world because I use my first and middle name versus my last name. But there's, a lot of people look
They look at me like,
like,
"Who are
how are you
you?"
Alicia Johnson and he's Mike Cullen?
Right, right,
Cullen
right.
Cullen
This
is my
my
middle
new
name.
husband.
Cullen is my middle name. And
Oh,
as it relates to Messes, Misses, and Miracles, and I'm glad you pointed that out. It's a it's a it's a platform that we're massaging and currently building, but it's one that's built on everything that you guys mentioned with forgiveness, and we had got to the point where we looked at everything that we had come through, and at the end of the day, the only thing we could really put our finger on was forgiveness. That's the only thing. That's the high level thing that we had to come through. So everything that we teach is basically that. We're not marriage counselors or anything like that. We just share the process of forgiveness and how doing that will set you up for greater things. So in Messes, Misses, and Miracles, that's what we talk about. That's like the marquee subject, and really just sharing with other couples or other people who are in relationships or looking to get into relationships, and teaching how to forgive and the importance of forgiving and how it relates to your health, your mental state, and everything.
Everything.
If you're unable to forgive, it will totally handicap your life. So thank you for pointing out the fact that we are doing the Messes, Misses, and Miracles. We had a call Friday, and we have another one coming up. We just have to do scheduling for that, but definitely stay tuned for that. Things will definitely start to increase with this group. We're looking to do retreats and all different types of things with this group. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna be fun. That's the link, Leslie.
Did I
Good.
put up the wrong thing?
No, I don't know. That's a huge link.
I
Where's it?
know, but
So,
that's what I
somebody
copied.
click it. Does it go where it's supposed to go? I guess that's
Let's
cool.
see.
I was like, oh my god, that is a huge link.
Oh, wait.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, y'all click and see. If not, we'll fix it. We'll fix it later. I was like, goodness gracious, just click that. No, y'all got to type it in. Type in the.
Yeah. That's how it came up. I'll
No,
take
that's
it. I'll take it down.
no, that's fine. If it works, it works. But yeah, we'll put
Oh
a
no.
prettier link up there. That thing is horrendous. That is
It
huge.
is.
Oh my goodness. No, we'll get y'all a better link. We'll see if it works. But yeah, so that's who we are. That's what we do. That is yeah, so that's forgiveness. So where do you want us to go with the story, Leslie? I
So
want to make sure we don't go down a rabbit hole because it's a lot of
Um,
You said the transition.
yes,
What from what? What's the
from
transition?
the transition. Like when we talked last, you was talking about the transition from being angry and how you allowed God to, speak to you
Uh,
and cause things to change. And in the process of that, you were getting ready to say something, and I was like, "Wait, hold it." But I don't, I don't think I wrote it down what it was you were saying. But it's been a couple of weeks
I'm
now.
like, how many weeks ago was that?
It's been quite a few weeks now since we've been here. I know it's been after the conference. I know that much.
No,
But
that's fine. We'll pick it up when we need to. But yeah, I just want to make sure I'm moving in the right space. And that link doesn't work, so you can take that down, and we'll just
okay,
I'll send you the right
so
one. Yeah, so that's cool. But yeah, so
we,
the
where we left off at,
oh, okay,
talking about the heart and unforgiveness.
okay, the heart and unforgiveness. The
Hmm.
heart and unforgiveness. Okay, so we can go a lot of different directions with that.
Right.
Where you
Have
want?
you go ahead?
Okay, so the heart and unforgiveness. Oh, that's powerful as it relates to.
All right. I don't know how to take it off.
Oh, that's fine. We'll figure it out. So don't use that link, y'all. We'll figure it out. We'll put another one up there. But the heart and unforgiveness. One of the things that was in going through this work, you know how you the Bible talks about like a hardened heart, like your heart gets hardened and you how can I put it, out of your mouth proceeds the abundance of the heart, like whatever your heart, the desires of your heart, whatever your heart um is carrying is what your life is going to demonstrate. And my life was demonstrating some pretty bad stuff because my heart was bad. The words that were coming out of my mouth, and that was the thing that was very interesting to me, is that we would always say we got to do things in spirit and truth. Do things in spirit and truth. And I didn't understand. I was saying it, but I didn't understand what it I didn't
Right. And
understand.
most people don't.
Right. And so when you do things in spirit and truth, that means that the inside and the outside have to match. The spirit of the thing, everything, you know how in the world they say, like, get into the spirit of the game, get into the spirit of the song, get into the spirit of the thing. Everything has energy, everything has a spirit, everything has a purpose. Even inanimate things, even things that we think are not, we think of rocks, we think of things that look like they're not doing too much. But God teaches us that if we don't do our part, God can even make the rocks cry out. So that makes you understand that there is a spirit in everything. And that spirit connects to heaven, it connects to God. We're the only ones on this planet that have free will. We're the only ones on this planet that can choose to say yes or no to heaven. Everything else doesn't have that option. Plants don't have that option. Plants can't be like, well, today I choose God, tomorrow I'll choose something else. The rocks, the rivers, the everything in nature is connected to heaven. We have a choice, and because we have that choice, that makes it a little tricky for us because we get to choose the life that we want. We get to choose the direction that we want to go. When you say that you're doing things in spirit and truth, are you doing things that are truthful to the spirit that you are following?
Mm.
So when you say that you're doing things in spirit and truth, are you doing it in the good spirit of that thing, or are you doing it in the bad spirit of that thing? And so my heart was so angry and so damaged, if you will, that it was not, I was not speaking the truth. Like I would say things, that God showed me this in my prayers one day. God was like, don't pray another prayer. Don't do it. because I would get up in the morning and I would pray. Like God had me getting up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and then by 8 o'clock, I'm on the phone with my girlfriend, diluting everything I prayed for. God, will you please heal my marriage? Will you please make everything work? Will you please do this? And then by 8 o'clock, I'm waiting at the bus stop for the bus. Girl, you ain't gonna believe what this fool did today. I can't believe this. Da, da, da. And God,
Isn't that how we operate?
and that's how God was like, you are canceling your prayer. You are canceling your prayer. So God was like, until you get your heart right, don't pray another prayer. Don't even bother to do that. Don't even bother to do that. And so the heart work is hard work.
It is.
It's really hard because you have to search your heart to see where you're out of alignment. I don't know if that's the same story for you, Mike, but the heart, the condition of your heart.
Yeah, it took a long time for me, and like I had said on the other call last night. I mean, it was a process of 5 to 10 years for me to actually get to the point where, and I guess you could say heart, or you could say ego. For me, it was more ego,
Hmm.
of letting that ego,
That man part.
yeah, because that was the thing that I was fighting with, and it had got so bad that I was actually fighting with myself more so than I was fighting with her. Because there were days where it was like she would just be going about her business, doing her thing, and I'm mad. She's fine, and I'm looking like
He
her.
mad because I'm
I'm like,
fine.
hold on, why are we mad again? And it was a long process to get to the point where I could just let that go, because there's for males there's so many stigmas that come along with that type of situation, just being ashamed, and all of the stuff that came with that. It took a long time to flush that out, but I had to really start with myself, looking at like some of the things that had got me to that point, had gotten me to the point where, as a man, I couldn't really, I felt that I couldn't really like share my emotions, and just digging back on stuff, it all went back to like childhood,
Mm-hmm.
and you know my dad not being there, and other things that happened, but that was the process for me. So it wasn't necessarily like the heart. It was the ego, and I guess in many ways you can look at
It's
that as
all
the same.
connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also it was his upbringing also because
Mm.
he grew up around his grandparents.
Hmm.
And they had, I mean, by the time Mike came along, they had worked out probably all of their issues. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a little kid looking at their grandparents and they seem perfect. Like there's
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
breakfast on the table. There's lunch. I mean, Gigi would cook all the time. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. The house is in order. Everything. It was like almost it was like a throwback. It was, and so he grew up in this environment, and then when we got together, there's pressure on me to
Mm.
create this environment, and I'm like, wait a minute, something's not right. Like I can't physically do, and then I had that also. I broke myself out of that because I too was basing a lot of our relationship on what I saw growing up. We always had breakfast, we always had lunch, we always had dinner, like a meal. The house was straight. But I had to think about it. My big mama was helping my mama all the time. Like my mother would send laundry with my big mama, and my big mama would do the laundry. We always had clean clothes. And everything was always in order.
Yeah,
And
that's
then when,
how it was with us too.
right, And so, but
Hmm.
at coming into a marriage, and he's coming from that environment, and I'm coming from that environment, and then it's like, what's wrong with me? I can't keep my house clean. I can't. But they weren't commuting 45 minutes in the morning and 45 minutes in the evening. They didn't have to go out and do all of the grocery shopping and the soccer and the this and the that and all of those activities. And so I had to take myself off the hook. I took myself off the hook before Mike took me off the hook. So that was the problem.
So can I say something in there? Before I came to, well, back then it was 360, AJ
AJ 360, right?
365.
Uh-huh.
I missed that. But I wanted to be like my grandmother
Mm.
because the way I saw her, and I was like, I felt like I had to do it too. And then when I came to 1212, I found out, wait a minute, I got a life too, you know, and I have to do things different. So I had to start transitioning from the way I did things to, and to also know that it was okay not to be like my grandmother. It was okay to do things the way I needed to do. So when you was talking about that, and I'm gonna let y'all continue talking. Let me just say this real quick. You was talking about how your big mama got up and cooked. Well, my grandmother, when you stayed at her house, if you went up by 6 o'clock, she didn't wake you up. She just kept coming in the room, slamming dresser drawers and doing all kind of stuff because she felt like you needed to be up. And then you're like, oh my God, let me get up. She would not leave. But she would go out the room, come back in, go out the room, come back in till
Do
you
your hard
got up.
food.
Because that was her rhythm, and you was in her house. So yeah, I had to change a lot of that. I had to change a lot of that. But when I heard you say it was okay, it was like, oh, okay. I need to
Mm-hmm.
do things differently. So yeah, I
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
get it.
It makes a difference, and that was one of the things, like comparison. Like I think that kept us stuck for a long time because I know you used to always be like Mike used to compare me to every female in the world. Like most
This-
females don't do this. I was like, how you know all these females? I started questioning something. Well, most females would do. Most females would be glad to do this. I said, for real, like and he had this. I don't know what
Precept,
he had this yeah, he had this precept of
concept.
what
Yeah.
women were supposed to be and how they were supposed. And then this is the funny part, and it's we
well,
worked
what
through
was that?
what
Break that down.
what
What was the what was my precept? Or what did
Or
you?
concept.
your
Yeah,
concept of what women.
yeah.
Well, you used to always say you can't trust them. You can't trust no. You can't trust women. You can't. You remember you.
Oh,
And so,
That's
but
a bad relationship somewhere.
right, but that was, and I was like, well, dang. I was like, well, shoot, I done ruined his whole relationship with all the women on the planet. So he was like, you can't trust no women. But the thing that kept messing me up is that he would go out, like I had an affair first, and then he was on get back mode, and then he would be with different women, but I'm like, you can't trust women, so why you with the women? I was just so confused. And so he was confused too. He was like,
He
you
was
can't
saying, I
trust women.
can't trust you.
Right. But he would say that about all, like anything that would happen, then it was the strangest thing. But what I realized is that I think tomorrow, actually on the challenge, we're gonna talk about saying yes to chaos. I think that's the topic. But
Okay.
this ties into that
Yeah.
in the sense that it was so powerful because when we were going through that craziness, I wanted to stop it. I wanted everything to get better. Like, God, will you please just let all of this in? God said, no, let it run its course. You gotta let it run its course, no matter how chaotic it seems, no matter how crazy it seems. So you know what the breaking point is. Like once you get to your breaking point, you know that you personally or that person is not going to go beyond that. So you know that the healing is done. When Mike got to his breaking point, I knew that he was done because it went all the way. It wasn't prematurely ended.
Yeah.
And when he got to the when he got to the end, like literally, you could see like
It got
all
heavy.
of the wind just was out of it. Leash, I'm done. Like he literally was like, I tap out, like I'm done.
It honestly, it got to the point where it was like so heavy, and just to be completely transparent, I was at work, and I was a project manager, and I had a
What
project, a
you
big
do?
project that I was managing
Oh God, this is
from
gonna be good.
Oh, we never told this story.
Oh, I know it's gonna be good. You can't even
Oh
hardly
Lord,
sit in the chair.
and I'm glad you said this. So, so I had this
Can we take
project.
a break? We need to.
Oh Lord.
Oh, this is funny. Oh my God, I remember the day like it was yesterday. Go on,
I
go.
had this big project that I was managing
In Chicago.
from DC, but the actual work was in Chicago. And
You better be glad Apostle's not on.
right, yeah. So I had to fly to Chicago, and I think I was in Chicago for maybe a couple of days. I mean, I was into work, you know. I mean, if you've ever done project management, it's like you leading up to it. You have time where you're working, but you're not working too hard. I was actually
In it.
physical. The project has started. I had people on site. I had all of these different things
It
going
was
on.
big, big.
I mean, as far as work, I was up to my my chin in work.
It was big.
And
Hey, tell them about the part. It was a little plane. Like it wasn't like a major city. Like it was a
yeah,
little plane.
it was a small little
So he
remote
had
town.
to get it done so he could get out of the city because it was one
Exactly,
plane.
yeah.
Like it was all the stuff hit the fan. So
I mean, it was a little small,
it was a small
rinky-dink
dinky town.
They had one little small airport, and it was like 2 flights came in a day. I was on the one coming in, and I had to be on the one going out by a certain time, meaning I had to get all of this work done before I left. So, as luck as
We had it. That was the day that all the crap
all
hit
hell
the
broke
fan.
loose. The young lady that I had a relationship with took it upon herself to get in touch with Alicia. Alicia called me, and it was like, and again, I'm in the middle of the biggest project that I had.
You got. He wouldn't take my call. He saw the phone. He wouldn't take my cell phone call, so I called the office and had them transfer the call to that. Oh, you gonna talk to me today, brother? You gonna talk to me?
It was
Leash, I can't deal with this right now. I got one plane to catch. I'm gonna be stuck there. Well, looks like you need to change your zip code to Chicago, cause
You're gonna be stuck.
yeah. So it, as luck would have it, it happened. Like I say, right there at that moment, and I had to deal with it. I don't think we actually resolved anything because
he was. It all hit at. I'll never forget. Now this is okay. So this is powerful. So everybody listen. Okay. So
Okay, we listening.
God talks to me through numbers. So the young lady sent the email.
Oh, she sent you an email.
She sent me a message in Facebook.
Oh.
And so because I was doing Always Journal, I get messages in Facebook. So I thought it was somebody with that. And I started reading. I was like, oh, no, this is different. Okay. I the first paragraph I read, I was like, oh, my God. God said, hold on. Before you read the whole thing, look at it. She sent it on November 4th, 2014. God said, add
Oh,
that
Mike, she's not forgetting that.
Add that up. No, I'm not forgetting that. No, check this out. Because
Okay.
God needed to calm me down.
Uh-huh.
Because I was getting ready to, it wasn't going to be Alicia Johnson. It was going to be, God said she sent it 11/4/2014. God said, add all those numbers up. It added up to 13. I said, okay. She sent it at 8:41 a.m. That added up to 13. So it calmed me down. God said she sent this because I allowed her to.
Wow.
So go through the whole thing. I read that whole thing. I read it all. And I said, okay. First I was heated. God said, this is the end. Like God, because God told me to let it go through, like run its entire
Process.
course. Because I was hot, because I was like, if this is going to continue on like this, I'm not doing this.
So
People,
wait a minute.
uh-huh.
Your favorite word, enjoy the process,
No, I
wasn't
wasn't
taking place
enjoying
at that
that.
time.
That was some Fraggle Naggle bull right there. That was some Fraggle Naggle bull. That's what that was. But yeah, so I got the email and then immediately, I think I forwarded it to you. I sent it to your
I don't
phone.
remember.
I sent it, I forwarded it to him. And because I didn't get the immediate response that I wanted, then I started calling him. And he wasn't answering because he was trying to get out of Chicago. So he was that was the first time I really saw him. And even when you came back with a little bravado. You still came back like, what? You remember? He was
She remember all those details.
I
don't remember all
do.
that.
It was traumatic. He came
Yeah.
back. Okay, what? Now what? And
He's under
I
all
Yeah.
this pressure. That's what
Honest,
he's saying.
yeah, honestly, it to I guess to sum all of that up
I'm getting triggered, y'all. I'm getting triggered.
for me it
Re-
had got
re-
so
Forgiveness,
heavy.
forgiveness.
It had got so heavy, and I had got to that point where it was like
It wasn't worth it.
it wasn't worth it
The
because this
aggravation.
person was trying to pull me out of the relationship, and I wasn't necessarily ready to come out of the relationship, and definitely not go into that type of relationship.
It
Like,
was, but
you know,
she had it all lined out. She had it every con. She said, and we've discussed this, and this is how it's going to happen. And I just want you to be aware of these are the moves he's going to make. So you need to, because when we get together, I was like, child, let me tell
Right.
you
This
something.
means war.
No, I started laughing. I said, sweetheart, if you think that he has resolved any of the issues that got us to this point, you are delusional.
Wait, I
It was
gotta tell you this. Cynthia Flores says, breathe, you're gonna pee yourself.
I'm like, ooh, I'm getting hot, y'all. That ain't a flash either. I'm getting
Oh, I'm sorry. I just had to tell you that.
yeah.
oh
So that's the breaking point summed up,
my
and I
god.
think we had got to that point. I had got to the point. It was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm done because I mean, just looking back at that time, again, my job was very demanding. It was very demanding. I didn't have the type of job where I could just go in and push a couple buttons, do a couple emails. I had a job that was actually putting me in different cities. I had teams that I was managing. Very demanding, and it got to the point where this was affecting like my job, and it was like, okay,
Sure.
this ain't cool. This ain't gonna work. So I totally ended that thing, and
Tell about the phone call. We did a whole.
oh yeah,
Look, this is funny. So we were all. I said, you know what? Everything's open and honest. So I added Mike to the text stream. So it's me, him, and this young lady all on the text stream. So he's getting all of the I mean, we blew that thing up for 48 hours. It was nonstop. And another thing, and did he tell you this? And did he? And it was fun. And then on day 3, like on the third day,
One, two,
on
three.
on day 3, Mike was like, he didn't even ask no questions. He was like, conference call 3 p.m. tomorrow, and that was it. And he had that call. I was actually proud of him on that call because he was just like, look, this is what
Yeah.
it is. How did you tell about the call, Mike?
I don't remember the specifics on the call, but I remember
I
getting
recorded
to
it, and I'm joking.
oh, yeah. I remember getting to the point where it was like I have to address this bear like face on and totally delete this person from my life and all of the craziness that it was bringing, because I had craziness on this side and I was building equal craziness
Right.
on the other side. So it was like I was smashing the middle. It was like, I
Mm-hmm.
can't deal with neither one of these. So at the very least, one of these have to go.
And he knew my crazy. He knew my brand of crazy.
Exactly.
Buttons and all of that. He
Yeah.
didn't know the other chick's brand of
Yeah.
crazy. She could have been crazy,
So
crazy.
that I think that was the coming or come to Jesus moment for me, because it pushed me to the point where it was like I felt like life was out of control for me.
It was.
Yeah, it was way out of control.
That was probably, as far as we're concerned, like people had their different degrees of
Yeah.
crazy.
I don't think we've ever talked about this either.
No, we haven't. This is why I'm like, you want to go there?
I don't think we've
You
ever
see,
talked about this on.
you
No,
see,
we never talked about. We
told a
haven't
lot
given
of our
all of the
stories.
details. We ain't even given half of the details. But yeah, that's one of the funniest parts.
Yeah.
But that was interesting because God matched us with like our brand of crazy. Like now we talk about it, like we're grateful that we were able to go through this process the way that we did, because just the other day we were in Annapolis and there was a hotel there. Mike was like, that's that hotel where this lady and her lover or whatever had gone to the hotel, and her husband came and shot both of them and killed himself.
Yeah.
you
And
hear
so
that a
we
lot.
laugh and joke
Yeah.
about this stuff, but literally there was some moments where we could have been in a snap
could've- yeah.
episode.
This
It could have
could've-
easily have been us. What they say, but for the grace of God go I.
I
Like,
told you I was there.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
It was we're very I think that's why we're so willing to share, because we want people to understand that you can get to the other side of it and it will be okay. But if you allow everything to just last night when we were talking about the release valve, you got to release that pressure. You can't let it continue to build, and you got to know when you reach your breaking point. Like if Mike had gone beyond his breaking point, then that would have broken everything. But he got to the point where like, this is it for me.
Right.
Like there are people that could go beyond that. But he was like, that's it. I had reached my breaking point prior to that, but we all got to the place. And the poor little lady, she didn't know what she had walked into, because that phone call that we did, she was confused. And I felt bad for her in the sense that she got sucked into this storm.
No, she didn't.
No, I'm just saying.
She didn't get stuck.
She was a player. She was a
This
player.
is us spoken to that
I'm
story.
trying to be
I
nice.
know.
This is the nicely. That wasn't what I was saying before. I'm cleaning the story up for TV. Okay, to tell you the truth, I didn't care what she felt, because
Right.
But at the end of that call, she was so confused because Mike had told her so many things, and she was going on what those things were. And one of the things that was funny to me,
That's a conversation right there.
right? But one of the things that she said, she said, but she had no idea what was going on in our family. She said, well, Mike said that it'll all be over in a couple of years once your kids graduate from high school, and then we can move on. I said, Lord, she don't know that our son just dropped out. I said, baby, you might be waiting for another 20 years if you wait for all this mess to get right. She said, Mike said that he just has to be there for a couple more years, and when the kids are in a good space, and when
She was young. Was she young, Mike?
Yeah, she was younger than us. She was younger than us, and what's wrong? And
oh, that's another story, Jesus.
Well, I'm listening. I'm like, she was young.
That's another thing that messed me up too. She was young. She was too young to be dealing with the kind of mess that we were. we were a whole life's lesson for her. She didn't even know what she walked in. I did. That's why I say I felt bad for the baby. She was young. She was too young to
Yeah.
be dealing with her.
Rick said, "Is this Mrs. and Miracles, the Sunday edition?"
This is this is the weekend edition. This is Sunday
Yeah.
edition.
So I don't even know where what question got us down this rabbit hole. But pull us back in,
Leslie,
Leslie.
how did we get
Pull us
here?
back in.
How did we get here? How did we don't know.
Woo!
Please don't let Apostle see
Look,
this because he gonna order another special. Look. Hi, I'm Tiff. I'm Rick. We're Team Child.
y'all hear that, Team Child?
This ain't us. This is he gonna have to call Rick
This
and
is not
Team.
Mike and Alicia, y'all.
No, we're Team Child.
Oh gosh. So I was told I need to start reading some of these messages, but Cynthia said I had my heart attack at the same exact morning at
What?
breakfast on November 4th, 2014.
Mm.
Wow.
Seriously?
That's what
Oh
she said.
my God.
Parallel events, only heaven knew what was going to transpire in the future.
Hold on,
Powerful.
is that the same date, different year, or same year?
uh, November 4th, 2014.
The
Same
year.
year.
Same year.
Oh
Oh Lord.
my God. What time? Oh
See,
my
Mm.
she didn't
God.
put the time in there.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Wow.
Minister Wanda said, trying to balance two women in a demanding job. I don't know how you did it,
He
Mr.
didn't.
Mike.
He
Yeah.
didn't.
I was ready. If
That's the whole point. He didn't.
I was ready to, you ever had that moment where I'm ready to jump in a rocket and just go somewhere
Go
completely different.
somewhere on
I
an
was done.
island where nobody is.
Exactly. I was done.
Ooh.
I was
But
done.
you know what? That is comparison, and we're almost out of time.
No, take your
That is
time. Go ahead.
that is comparison to salvation. Before you give your life,
Hmm.
you're at that point of breaking.
Right.
And
Hmm.
when you say, I'm done, then that's when he's able to work. So we don't know how he's going to work, but we know he's going to work. So in your incidents and in your situation, you wasn't sure how he was going to work, but he worked. And I see Pastor Daphne said that's the beauty to be able to sit and talk about memories. So that's what she said. Wanda says she needs some popcorn. Minister Wanda says she needs some popcorn.
This ain't the Sunday morning service y'all was thinking y'all was having this morning.
This is a story of reality because this happens so much,
Yeah.
and it happens in so many lives. But so many lives, like you said, if Mike had of gone over where his breaking point, it probably would have been a different story. So many people don't know what to do, don't know how to manage what's going on. So
And
if
and
we
I
can,
guess, Leslie, I guess let me say this. I think that's exactly what what our work is, to show people that you can you can hit rock bottom in a marriage, in a relationship like we did, and come out of it. And there's a way to do that, but it starts inside of yourself. So Alicia had to go through her thing. I had to go through my thing.
exactly, yes,
And going back to what I was saying earlier, for me it was ego. It was all of the stuff that I had to deal with, with myself.
Right.
There's no way we would be sitting here if I would have never dealt with that. Or we would have still been sitting here and all of that stuff would have still been going on. But like I say, we had that situation had got us to the point where it was like, and I think that's why we can talk about it, we can laugh about it now, because there's no way in hell we'll ever go back to anything like that.
That I mean, you
when
know,
they say remotely like that.
If you ever heard the term scared straight, We were scared straight. There's I want no parts of anything like that.
That's
Um,
why it's like Mike could go stay somewhere for a whole week. I wouldn't. I'd be like, "You good?" I mean, because that's the that's when God taught us about sin and iniquity. What we had entered into initially was sin. We were missing the mark. We just didn't know. But once you know the damage that can be done, once you know how heaven has delivered you, once you see it all, and then you choose to go back into it, that's iniquity. That's a whole nother ballpark. Alicia Johnson, Mike Johnson don't want no part of that. When you walk into something knowing what the potential outcome could be, it's not going to be that. It's going to be worse than that.
Yeah,
So the worst case scenario is bad enough to keep me walking on the straight and narrow.
yeah, yeah.
So that's
It
the
is.
difference
Yeah.
between sin and iniquity. So you don't play with that stuff.
yeah.
No, you don't. And Cynthia said that was the breaking point in her marriage. The doctor swore it was caused by a broken heart. Let me tell you about that broken
Mm-hmm.
heart. Um, I can tell you honestly that my mother and my grandmother, they both died from broken hearts. They
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
both died from something somebody did or something somebody said. And that heart thing is so vitally important. We can clog our hearts eating all kind of stuff and not realizing that we have a clogged heart, but something's wrong
Mm-hmm.
and never go to address it. And if we never go to address it, we're going to have a heart attack. And we're
Mm.
going to our body's going to begin to break down. And it's the same thing with unforgiveness. Unforgiveness, if you don't forgive, if you don't let go, if you don't make the confession, there's a thing I want to read now that since I'm going over here real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the unforgiveness puts you in a bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
Unforgiveness, first of all, it causes depression, untrust,
Mm-hmm.
stress,
Right.
lack of trusting people or you know believing in people. And one of the things C.S. Lewis said, I thought what he said too, is this unforgiveness is like taking poison but expecting
Mm-hmm.
someone else to die. And
Mm-hmm.
the other thing he said, unforgiveness is choosing to stay trapped in a jail cell of bitterness, serving time for someone else's crime. And
Mm.
that's how it is with unforgiveness. We get in a place that we are in a prison cell, we are in a jail.
Mm-hmm.
Our mind is in a jail.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, our spirit. Because when we don't forgive, there's no connection between us and God. And you got people running around church with unforgiveness, and that unforgiveness come from bitterness, and then it turns into hatred, and then they want to sabotage somebody's life because they're in pain and they're hurting
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
of unforgiveness.
Right.
And that unforgiveness is so vitally important because it takes you out of the realm of the spirit realm as far as Elohim is concerned. You be in the spirit realm, but it's on the other side of the fence. And then
Mm-hmm.
that part of your life begins to control you. And when you don't, why don't won't we forgive? Hatred. We won't forgive because of ungratefulness. We won't forgive because rebellion, grudges, disobedient, and always blaming somebody else instead of dealing with our own unforgiveness issue. I
Right.
always tell people you can point that finger, but three of them is pointing back at you. So what are you going to do with the three that's pointing back at you? Are you going to look at yourself? Are you going to begin to deal with where you are and allow God to heal you from and take you through the process from going from unforgiveness to forgiveness? Forgiveness is a process, just like unforgiveness. Unforgiveness starts with one seed, and then after that one seed, it grows, it
Mhm.
festers. Now you're dealing with all this stuff that festers, and then you get in a place where you want everybody else to hurt like you're hurting.
Right. Oh, that's yep.
Yeah, we dealt with
You
that.
Mike wanted me. Oh my gosh, it's so. But now, as you were talking, this helps me to realize, like, physically, physically, when you let go, like, this is a revelation that's coming to me right now. So, for me, for example, I was diagnosed with my fibroid situation in 2014.
A lot
And
happened in 2014.
a lot happened in 2014. And that was the year that it's like, I just let it go. Like, God, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. Prior to that, I didn't know I had fibroids. And they grew so fast. My doctor was like, what happened? And now that I think about it, you know how people walk around
Woo.
for years working jobs that they really don't like or whatever, and then they retire, and then all of these illnesses
Start
pop up,
breaking them
right?
down.
Because you have released, like, you've let it go. Like, I'm not under that stress anymore. I'm not doing it. So now your body, you were feeding your body all of this stress before, but now that you've released it, now your body is like starving for that sustenance. So it grows. Like, my fibroids grew because I was no longer feeding
It has to
whatever
live
needed.
off of
It's
something.
got to live off of something. And this is what is making me understand now, like, what Mike is going, like, when Mike released everything, it's like, this is exciting for me now, because the fact that he's released all of that anger, all of that resentment, all of those things, his body is like, hold up, buddy, you're not feeding us anymore. And that's why it's like the condition, that it's like it's looking for something to feed it. But now the joy that we have, like, I'm excited now. Like, we gonna laugh this thing away. We gonna talk this thing go. Like, God is all up in this.
So let me ask you one quick question.
Hmm.
Because even though you're saying that, do y'all still have moments? You know what I mean? Not against each other, but when you feel something,
Oh
or
yeah,
is it gone?
yeah. I mean, I can't
You
say.
do?
Well,
Hold
Close
on,
your
we'll be
ears,
right
close
back.
your ears, close your ears, Alicia.
yeah. No. So
But it's just like
no,
before you
I'm
say
not
that, Mike.
saying. So the way I heard you
Yeah.
is like internal thought.
Yes.
So for
Yes.
me, it may be a thought. It may be that voice that says, "Hey, you shouldn't, you know, let that go, or you shouldn't, forget." Now, so I'm definitely not thinking about like the incidents, like the craziness, all of that
No.
stuff. But it's like, you know, I fight with, and for me, again, it's going back to the ego. It's the ego that's in my ear. It's the ego that's pulling on the emotion, saying, "Hey, you don't let that go, or don't,
I'm
whatever."
learning something today too, y'all. Okay.
No,
But that's a good
no, I
thing,
think that's
because
that's a
this is
human
the
that's a human thing.
transparency that people need
Yeah,
to
This is
understand,
good. This is
that you might still have these things you deal with because you forgive and because you're moving on. It
yeah.
doesn't always mean that
It
everything is
just
healed yet,
it
that
doesn't stop.
everything
And
is
see,
It doesn't
yeah,
stop.
because I think because we're at two different, because I started to work earlier than him,
earlier.
so I'm at a different place. So he's gonna get to this place eventually
Don't let
too.
her fool y'all. She has
Whatever.
triggers as well.
I do, but
She
I
has
don't get
triggers
as
as well.
triggered. I don't get as triggered as I used to. We used
She
to.
has
That's
triggers.
the thing, because you're maturing, you're growing
Right,
Yeah.
in it.
right. I
And then it
still have a
becomes
few.
less as important as
Oh
it
yeah.
was back then.
Yeah. Well, no. Now I can definitely say we don't stay in it.
We
You
Right.
can't.
know,
We can't
we
stay.
Yeah.
We
we
don't
don't
stay.
stay in it.
We.
We could have, or she could have a trigger, or I could have a trigger, and we'd be laughing about it 5-10 minutes from now.
You want to go get something to eat?
So it's not.
Right.
It's nothing that will lead into anything else, or that will change how we feel about each other. It's just, I think it's just a natural human. human thing.
It is, and that's what I want people to know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
yeah. So the
happens.
fight never ends. It's no different from an alcoholic. An alcoholic will stop drinking and let that lifestyle go, but still has to go out every day and fight
Not to
that
drink.
that urge or that voice that is speaking to them. It could be in the form of a happy hour with his team, going out and being around people that are drinking. He knows he doesn't need to drink or doesn't want to drink, but that he can't get rid of the fact that there's a table full of drinks right in front of him.
Right.
You
That's
can't get
right.
rid of that. That's just still
It's just
always
what
going to
you're
be.
going to do with it when it happens.
Yeah.
And that
That's the fight. That's the struggle that is still alive and living in all of our lives. It
Right.
may not be that extreme, but that's reality.
That's reality.
Yeah.
And I just, that's why I was saying that, because I want people to understand that life is still life, but changes in your heart and in your spirit, or should I say, yeah, and in your mind. And I'm going to say it the correct way: in your spirit, in your heart, and in your mind is what makes the difference.
Yeah.
I can remember things from when I was 4 years old, you know, and they come across my mind, and I might even take a moment and think about it. But if I don't let it go, I'm going to end up back with that heart situation all over again.
Yeah.
So we got to do what we have to do to keep that heart clean, to keep that pipeline clean, keep that pipeline open. Pastor Daphne said y'all need to call Tyler Perry and get a play going.
Yeah. It's craziness, isn't it?
all right. No, but that because when we were going through all of this, you have such a limited perspective of life. Like all you see is what you're going through. But now that everything has expanded so much, we're grateful that it happened at the time that it did happen. Because Mike and I, we were talking like if all of that was happening, plus everything with our son was happening, if everything happened at one time, along with the diagnosis right now, this would be a disaster.
Yeah,
And this is why it's so important that you deal with things at the time that heaven gives you to deal with them, because heaven knows what's coming. Heaven knows what your life is. Heaven knows the plan. And Mike and I, we laugh, sometimes it's like, if I had been the person that I was back then and this situation happened now, might be like, I'd be sleeping with one eye open. I don't even know if I would have told you anything because it was awful. Like we now trust each other with our lives. Like there isn't any appointment that he'll go to that I'm not there because I want to know like what we got to do. Like what
right,
before
right,
it would have been
right,
like what they say. Everything gonna be
right,
all right. I
right.
got some papers I need you to sign. I'm like, it would have been awful.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Awful.
yeah. Life brings us to a place of maturity. Dr. Vicky said, life will still be lifting.
Lifing.
And-
Uh-huh. Life is still gonna be lifing. At the
Okay.
conference, she was like,
Oh,
life
okay.
still be lifing.
Yeah, I sort of F. Um, I don't think like that.
No, it's
I'd
not
be like,
grammatically correct. She's like, that's not grammatically correct. She grading us on it. No, no, life will still be
so, but there was something you said that I wanted to address. Now I don't remember what it was. Now acting silly, but yeah, it is so vitally important that we understand structure. And what do I mean by that? Structure is that we put ourselves in position to accept things. They already happened. It's in the past. You can't do anything about the past, but you can do something about your present. And what do you plan to do Do you plan to hold on to this stuff? The broken heart, the disappointment, betrayal. Are you willing to hold on to that stuff that will take you to your grave? Are
Mm,
you willing to let it go that you can live life more abundantly? The word says, I wish above all that you prosper, be in good health, and that's the thing, even as your soul, what is your soul? Is your soul healed? Is your soul balanced with the rest of your body?
mm,
Or is your soul still carrying all this grief? Is
mm,
your soul still, are you still living from the past? There's people out there, this stuff has happened 30 years ago. They're not even with the person and they're still holding it over their head. I'll
mhm,
never forget them. They hurt me. Yeah,
mhm, mhm,
we all get hurt in life.
mhm,
Something will trigger that will cause us to have some type of pain if we allow it.
mhm,
And if we don't let go of it, it only takes us out of here.
mhm. Amen.
So it's vitally important that we make some right choices and we begin to work on those things.
Yes.
So I don't know if you go ahead. Wow, this is such a good conversation. Thank you all, Jenny. So I want to thank all of you for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
But I
Thank
don't I don't know. I kind of cut y'all off. I don't know if y'all were finished. Probably don't even remember what you were saying before I stopped you.
I don't know, Leslie. Every time we get on, I feel like we sitting at like our kitchen table talking, and we just like I forget people are here. So, but no, if we can continue the conversation on the next
Okay.
another Sunday. But thank you for having us, and thank you for allowing us to be who we are. And I
I
think
love
that's
it.
the most important part, is that we're not ashamed of our story. We're not ashamed of things that we've gone through, because we know that it's going to help some. If we only help one couple, if we only help one person like think about forgiveness differently, then that's fine with us. So thank you for your platform. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
And Ashley said, y'all have no idea how many people you're walking how many people you're walking around refusing to forgive
Mhm.
people and then building a life around not showing emotions, and that causes another issue. That's a whole topic by itself.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the news. If you look at the news, all of this stuff that happens. I don't care if it's Ukraine. I don't care if it's someone in our neighborhood that's shooting. Folks, forgiveness. The lack of forgiveness is the underlying thing in all of that. There are people dying on a daily basis due to unforgiveness.
Right.
If you really think about it.
And forgiveness does keep you malleable. It keeps you able to move and go with the flow. It keeps you humble. And I think that that's probably one of the biggest things that we've learned, is that everyone has a bad day. Everyone makes bad decisions, but that
Yeah.
bad day, that bad decision doesn't have to dictate the rest of your life
Or your day.
or your day. You can turn it around just like that, but you need good examples. You need examples of
Oh
people
yes.
showing you what the end could look like. We get enough examples of what the bad outcomes are. If you do
Right.
prison ministry, you can get a whole host of those examples. But
Yes.
to get examples of what it looks like doing it and ending up in a good way, that's exciting, because you get options. I can go this way or I can go that way. But if all you see is
Free
the
will.
way, yeah, exactly,
Free
exactly.
will. So I'm gonna try to
What you trying to do, Leslie?
pull the link up again for 1212 for anyone that's interested.
Okay,
Uh,
I think Cynthia's on here. Can she post it in there? If Cynthia can post the
they
link.
probably can.
Yeah, if you Cynthia, if you're on here, if you can post the link for the 1212 and for the yes challenge
Challenge. And I
tomorrow. morning. Yeah.
And I did get Mike's in your Mrs. and Miracle. Listen, I probably said it wrong
That one,
because I'm
that one.
always
Just
like,
click that link right there.
what? Which one is it?
Messes, misses, and miracles. So
Just messy, just messy. So
messy stuff. So yeah,
thank you, Cynthia.
yeah, Cynthia, thank you, Cynthia. So you can click that link, and if you would love to join us, we would love to have you tomorrow morning. We have this is the kind of fun we have at 5 a.m. in the morning. So we you know, this is who we are. You're not gonna meet us in person and we act different. You're not gonna come to our house and we act different. We've done all of the work that we need to do, so when we're consistent wherever we are, and that's what forgiveness does for you. When you're not forgiving, I mean, you got to have so many masks on. Like Mike had to act a certain way when he was at work. He had to act a certain way at home.
Yes,
He had to act a certain way with his friends. You know, it was crazy. I
yes,
had to do the same thing because
yeah.
you always, what they say, got your head on a swivel. You looking around like you can't get comfortable anywhere because it's like, who's gonna see me? I can't let this person
That's
see me.
right.
You know, and it's a very uncomfortable way to live. And I know the first night, like after all of this, Michael's like, I slept so good last night. Like he slept like he hadn't slept in I don't know how long you hadn't like he was just always moving and
Yeah.
always up and about and always, you know, angry. But when he slept, he was like, man, I ain't slept like that in.
Well, I was living the life of, and I'm not gonna go back into it, but I was living the life of two or three people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had again, my work was demanding. I had my sad life. I had this life that I was. It was so it was
and
like
you had children.
I was trying to live two or three different lives.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And he
It's
don't multitask well at all.
it's extremely taxing.
You
If
know,
you're not a multitasker, that is not the life for you. Like
Yeah.
Mike does not like if he's focused on something, he's focused on
that's
something.
it.
So it was just very interesting. But let this be a cautionary tale, you know, to everyone who crosses our path. It's not worth it. You lose too much time. And then there are so many people that are our age and older and still doing this stuff personally that we
Yeah,
know. They
that's right.
still running the game. They still. At what point is enough enough?
Yeah. When
But
you get tired.
they're so far into it, they don't know how to turn it around.
Yeah.
Some people have gotten so accustomed to this life that they think that this is all this is. But at the end, see, that's the thing. No one gets out of here without making amends for what they've done. And it's like same thing with my dad. Those confessions at the end, like, dude, we could have done this like 30 years before. So that's that's where we are. But then anyway, we'll come back again
Yes,
and
yes. Thank
continue. But
you.
this is exciting. Yeah, thank
Yes.
you, Leslie. This is fun. This is not what I thought today was gonna be, but it is what it is. Mike took us left. I ain't never shared that story. I was not
Hot sugars left.
with that.
Okay.
Yeah, with the Chicago thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't go in there. But anyway, thank y'all for for your time and thank you, Leslie. And we done.
Well, we're gonna say have an amazing rest of your day. Uh, and as you leave here, we want you to know that you are loved, and that not only are you loved, that there's always someone, if you find the right person, that can help you through your process. So don't think you have to go through what you're going through by yourself. And one thing about the 1212 community is a no judgment community. So you can always we come together and we love on each other, and we don't look at each other and point the finger. We just look at each other and pray that they would find a way out, and they usually do. You know, Yahweh always. Oh, Yahweh already. Oh, that went away. Sorry, y'all. It went fast. So Pastor Daphne had said something. Oh, there it is. Yahweh always knew the bond that he was sealing with you too. He already had the blueprint laid out. And that's another topic, but we're not going to go there today because we'll be on here another
You
couple of
got
hours.
your whole year set
Yeah,
up for topics.
yes. Every time I think this is going to be the last one on forgiveness, he give me some more stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. So listen, I want to thank you for joining Leslie's Lessons Learned today. Please, if you did not hit the like sign, share, or subscribe, please do so. And listen, we put the links in there for 1212, and we put the links in there for MMM, the 3M. So listen, join them. They are amazing, and they're sincere about the work of God. Until we meet the next time, have an amazing day. God bless you.
All right.
Love
Thank you,
you.
Leslie.
Thank you, Leslie.